Hey guys, Mr. T here, just doing a quick solutions video. Am I getting that right? Solutions video for your practice 10 science biology test. State the name of the molecule that DNA is the abbreviation for. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Where's DNA located in human cells? It's in the nucleus. What structure are genes organized into? Chromosomes. What is the term given to a trait or feature that results from your genotype or environment? Characteristic. Who discovered the structure of DNA? Watson and Crick did the X-rays. What are the building blocks that make up DNA chains? For DNA, it's nucleotides. What are the three parts that make up the repeated unit in DNA chains? What are nucleotides made of? You need the sugar, phosphate, and nitrogenous base. Draw a diagram to show those. So the phosphate circle bonded to the sugar, which is usually shown as a pentagon. And then the base, usually a rectangle. Like that. As long as the sugar's in the middle and a pentagon, and then you got base off to the side and a phosphate off to the other side, you're right. That is a nucleotide. What are the four nitrogenous base pairs that are found in DNA? We need ATCG, basically. So the problem with these is these are ATCG, but these aren't the words that you were taught. This has uracil. These aren't the words you were taught. It was this one here. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. What are the four nitrogenous base pairs that are found in RNA? When it's RNA, there's the U one, uracil. So this. In an organism's DNA, 20% of the bases are adenine. What percentage would be cytosine? So if 20% is adenine, A matches with T, so 20% is going to be thymine. So that's 40%, so 60% for G and C. So half of that, so 30% would be cytosine, because 60% is made up of G and C, so half of that, 30%, would be just the C's, which is cytosine. What is the site of protein synthesis? Ribosomes. What are the building blocks of proteins? Proteins aren't made of nucleotides anymore. They're made up of amino acids. Polypeptides is it's kind of okay, but that's a polypeptide is a protein. This question is asking you what are the building blocks of proteins. So the individual things that make up proteins are amino acids. What name is given to the growing chain that results in a protein? That's where polypeptides comes in. Explain what a gene is. It's a bit of DNA, a section of DNA that contains the correct code to produce a functioning protein. It's got the instructions for the little machine in your body that does something. What distinguishes a eukaryotic cell from a prokaryotic cell? Eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. Explain why cell division in eukaryotic cells would be more complex than cell division in prokaryotic cells, because the nucleus has to be split, as well as the cell membrane when dividing. So more steps. Name two types of cell division in eukaryotic cells. Mitosis for growth and repair, and meiosis for sexual reproduction. How many chromosomes would be present in the daughter cells produced by the process of cell division for growth and repair? So that's mitosis. Mitosis produces the same cells as OG, as before. So things have 23 pairs, so 46 chromosomes. How many chromosomes will be present in the daughter cells produced by the process of cell division for passing genetic material from one generation to the next? That's meiosis. So there's going to be half of that, so 23 chromosomes. Chromosomes. Because you're going to need half as much DNA as a normal cell in the sperm and the egg. State the process where gametes, sperm and egg from both parents, fuse to form a diploid zygote, that is fertilization, where they join together. What is the term given for the passing of characteristics from one generation to the other? Inheritance. What's meant by an organism's genotype? It is the genetic code that decides on the characteristics. C. Explain what is meant by an organism's phenotype. It is all the characteristics. What it looks like. Due to the genetic code. What other factor contributes to an organism's phenotype other than the genetics? Give an example, explain how the factor affects the organism's phenotype. So in the lessons we talked about environmental factors. Environmental factors affect phenotype. For example, weight. A person may have a genotype for being skinny, but if they eat too much, they won't have a skinny phenotype. What term is given to the alternative forms of expression of genes? That is the alleles. What term is used to describe when an organism has two of the same alleles in their genotype? Same means homozygous. What term is used to describe when an organism has two different alleles? Heterozygous. Who performed experiments with pea plants? That was Mendel. Brown eyes are dominant over blue eyes. What colours eyes would people with the following genotypes have? Brown, blue, brown, because it's dominant. What genotype would a brown-eyed person have whose father had blue eyes? Well, they got brown eyes, but dad must be small b, small b. That's recessive. The only kind of allele that they can get from dad is small b, but they've got brown eyes, so they must be big B, small b. Why? Because small b is recessive to big B. They could only get small b from dad, so must have small b, so to have brown eyes must also have big B. Dwarfism is dominant over average stature. Using your own symbols, fill in the Punnett square to determine. So let's say dwarf, small d, average. What percentage of offspring would be average stature? If homozygous dwarf male mated with homozygous dwarf female. Well, it's all going to be big D's. So genotype. The only genotypes there are big D, 100%. Phenotype, dwarf is also 100%. What percentage of the offspring would be of average stature if a heterozygous dwarf male, so heterozygous, mated with a heterozygous dwarf female? Big D, big D, big D, small d, big D, small d, small d, small d. So genotype, you've got big D's, you've got mix, you've got small d's, 25%, 50% is mix, 25%. Phenotype, dwarf, 50% plus 25%, 75% dwarfs. Average is 25%. What percentage of the offspring would be average stature if a heterozygous dwarf male, hetero, with a homozygous average stature? Big D, small d, small d, small d, big D, small d. Looks like I didn't answer the question on the previous one. What percentage of the offspring would be average stature? I didn't answer these. 0% average stature. What percentage of the offspring would be average stature? 25% average stature. And here, finish this off, small d, small d. So genotype. We have big D, small d, and small d, small d. 50%, 50%. Phenotypes. Dwarf was 50% of them, and average also 50%. So what percent of the offspring would be average stature, therefore 50% average? 31. Use the pedigree below to answer the following question. Dark and squared means the individual has haemophilia, improperly clotting blood. How many males are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 males. How many males have haemophilia? 1, 2, 3. How many females are there? Let's look for circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 also. How many females have haemophilia? 2. How many generations? How many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4. They're numbered. 4. How many children did the couple in generation 1 have? They had 1, 2. How many children did the couple in generation 2 have? That's the couple in generation 2. 1, 2, 3 they had. How many children did the couple in generation 3 have? They got busy. Couple in generation 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 kids. That's all it asks. Okay. When working through a pedigree, the first thing you need to do is decide which characteristic is dominant, the shaded or unshaded. You can choose a letter and begin assigning genotypes. Remember, recessive individuals are always homozygous. So assign those first, then go back and look at the dominant. For some, you'll only be able to determine one allele. So for these, you may need multiple genotypes. So B question mark. Use the information in the pedigree below to answer the following. Black is affected. There's quite a lot of black affected ones here. Which characteristic, white or black, is dominant? Well, which is the majority? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 individuals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I would say black is dominant. Most have it. Which characteristic is recessive? Explain why. White is recessive. The minority are white. Determine the genotypes of all individuals in the pedigree. There should be 3 uncertain genotypes. Write your genotypes beneath each individual. So start off with recessive. What letters are we going to use? Let's go for capital F, black, small f, white. So if they're white, they're small, 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 small. Look at this kid. The only kind of F you can get from mum is small, so he must be big, small. Look at this kid. The only kind of F you can get from dad is small, so he must be big, small. Same for this one here. The only kind of F you can get from dad is small. So big, small. Can we tell this? This one's too hard. Let's look on the right. This mouse was black, but it had recessive or white kids. It must have the small f in it, because if it was capital F, all of these kids would have capital F and none of them would be white. So the last one's here. We cannot tell anything about these guys. We can tell something about these. Why? Because these parents had a mouse that had white fur, and they were both black, so they must have been mixed. And then it said here that we had 3 uncertain. Yeah, that's why this is so hard. We don't know anything about these other than they have capital F, because they could be capital F from mum and dad, or they could be capital F, small f, capital F and small f, mix the other allele. Doesn't matter, we can't tell until they have kids, and we can only tell if they have kids that are white. Then we can decide. And that is not it. We did C. Explain why 3 uncertain genotypes cannot be fully determined in part C. We know the male and female mice on Gen 1 on the left are capital F, small f, because they were black but had a white kid. That's the small f, small f. We cannot be sure how their alleles mixed for their 3 black offspring, because both parents have capital and small, so their black offspring could be capital capital or capital small. We cannot be sure until those offspring have white children themselves. That is D. I believe that's the end. So hopefully that solutions video helps you out. See you in the next video.